Hello again, Struck Club. Today I'm bringing you another video for Warhammer Chaosbane, and this one is an active skills showcase for the Witch Hunter class. So for those of you who are wondering if this is your type of class, what it can do, whether it's worth buying the DLC for you, whether it's your cup of tea, this hopefully could help you. I would be showing only the active skills, so if someone wants me to do something similar for the passive skills, which is kind of gonna be hard to show all the passive skills in action because some of them you just can't see visually. So I decided to just keep it limited to the active skills so that we can have enough time to fit everything in a reasonably long video and a reasonably short video as well. So hopefully it helps you decide whether that class is for you, whether you should buy the DLC or stick to the other 5 classes in the game. I would be starting with the basic attacks, then moving on to the advanced skills, and then eventually showing you the active god skills as well. So let's start with the first basic attack, which is Pierce. Pierce, keep in mind most skills have a melee stance and a range stance effect. I would be switching between one and the other. So Pierce is an energy generator or basic attack skill, basic skill. As you use Pierce, you generate energy, and then that energy you can use for other skills that consume it. It doesn't seem like either of the 3 basic attacks is anything special, but maybe with some skills like Persecute, you might want to make some interesting builds. Pierce is not bad though, and some of you might like it, but again, those skills are not what you're gonna see on your builds. Next is Persecute. You can see with pistols he's stepping backwards. Then with the sword he's actually constantly moving forward. As you're channeling the skill, he keeps moving forward, so it's like the complete opposite of the ranged. It's not again a bad skill. While leveling you might like it, but once you level up most likely you would never use one of those 3 basic skills. By the way, as I didn't say it earlier, but you would be seeing the 3 versions and 4 when there's a heroic on the side of the screen, so you can see for yourself. And everything that you're seeing, everything that I'm showing is mastered or heroic. Castigate is the next one, and there's gonna be few cases where I'm not gonna show you master or heroic but superior version, and I'm gonna mention why I'm doing that. So for Castigate, you can see it has some nice interesting way of shooting the bullets. It's like spreading them in front of you but also moving the hand, so they kind of travel in an interesting pattern. And when it comes to the melee one, it's kind of like swashy swash in front of you, nothing too fancy, but at least it has a nice reach. In regards to wide reach, I think it's not long reach but wide reach. Same goes for the bullets, not very long range but very wide range. Now moving on to the first advanced attack, that's Torment. Torment, you can see he keeps moving and attacking with the sword, so kind of similar to Persecute but upgraded. And now there's the spin to shoot. Spin to win shoot skill, pretty nice, pretty interesting. Unfortunately, it's kind of underpowered, and in the late end game you won't see that much use of this skill. It's good, but it's very specific and it would require specific building, and in general the class is very weak. But this is a fun skill. You can use it up to like Chaos 6, 7, maybe even 8 with good gear and get that fun build, but it's very slow. You're much better off doing moving using some other skills. Now it's Extirpate. Extirpate has a heroic version and you're seeing that one. It leaves a trail of fire, and it can also leave a Mark of Sigmar, which opens up some interesting combos and how to build with that. This is actually, I think, maybe the best set, the Blessed Flame set that gives you heroic Extirpate. It's easiest to make a build with that set and with this heroic skill. Regardless of which other skills you take with it, it doesn't matter, but it's a very fun skill and I really love it, and it gives you decent mobility while also doing a little bit of damage on the side that can do well. And on Chaos 8 you can just do you can just play with just this skill, spamming only this skill, and still have an okay build for up to Chaos 8. Obviously on the hard difficulties it just the damage is not gonna be there. Now moving on to Cast Iron, which is a trap skill, and it has a heroic version, and you're seeing the heroic version. You can see it shoots a lot of traps, and sometimes the traps, if you're next to an obstacle, would get cast close to each other, and that way you can use that mechanic. And you can see how next to the dummy there are like 3 or 4 traps there in the same place, how reaching some obstacles the trap stops and falls there. And I'm gonna show you here how it looks like when there aren't no obstacles. It's very hard to get a lot of good damage from this skill. Yeah, it's probably good for mobbing when there's a lot of enemies around you, but you can kill those with just the mobility skill easily. And it's I wish the traps were a little bit more clustered, a little bit closer to us, so that you had a higher chance of hitting single enemy with multiple of the traps. It's a good idea, but it doesn't really work well, and it's very underwhelming because it's super hard to get one enemy to get in all of them. You can see now with the obstacles I could get 4 or 5 traps in a straight line. And again, you're gonna have to be spending a lot of time making the enemies go into the traps. And that's just a not fun way to do it, to try and pull the enemies into the traps. So Condemnn. Condemnn is amazing. It's a debuff and a buff. And it makes the enemies take extra damage, and the heroic Condemnn is what you're seeing. And it's just, it's great. I really love Condemnn. I try to use it in every one of my builds when I play this guy, regardless whether it's the mastered or superior or heroic. I do try to put one type of version of Condemnn, depending on what type of build I use, and I think it's great in everyone's arsenal. But you can see the range and the length of the reach of heroic Condemnn on your screen. So this is what heroic one looks like. So it's like a spread conical AoE, like a burst of debuffing flames or something like that. So it's pretty good reach and range. So it should allow you to debuff a whole group with one cast. Now this is Execute. Execute is a straight line piercing or shooting attack. You can see it can hit all those 3 dummies with the melee one, and with the ranged one you're gonna see now. Again, very good long range. Unfortunately, Execute is not that strong. I mean, in general, this class is not that strong. It's probably the weakest of the bunch, and it's very strange why the developers released a class this much weaker than the others as a paid DLC. Normally they do it the other way around. They would release a strong class and make you wanna buy it before they nerf it. In this case it's the opposite, which I kind of respect them for not releasing an overpowered hero. Not a fan of releasing an underpowered hero, but eventually hopefully they rebalance it. But this skill is kind of good as animation, but not as good as damage. This one, Excoriate, it could be nice. You could reach okay damage if you build around it, but it's not great. Again, it's this hero, and with this hero there isn't anything that's great in regards to damage. But as animation, as a mechanic, this skill is another one that has a very good flexibility in how you could use it. See, with the ranged attack you're gonna see how far it can reach. And you can just snipe. Look at that. I'm hitting the dummies from this far, which is basically you can't even see the third dummy on the screen. It was still getting hit. So yeah, I hope they buff the class and skills like this could see more use. Some people told me they made interesting builds with this one, and maybe you can make it too. And Martyr, another great skill which I strongly recommend using, especially this one is the superior version. Why? Because the superior version spawns icons of Sigmar, and I wanted to show that. Those icons of Sigmar can be very good if you're using energy consuming skills to channel. You can stay next to them. If you're stacking damage from nearby icons of Sigmar, this is also great source of damage in that way. That's why I'm showing the superior, not the mastered. I mean, obviously the mastered is the same, just without the icons and with some different stats. So one version would give you more damage, less survivability. The other version more survivability, less damage. but the superior also gives you damage from nearby icons of Sigmar if you're using that passive. And you can see how you can try and make them spawn a little bit tightly closer together when you're next to an obstacle, the same way it worked with the cast iron skill. You could use this mechanic to your advantage and try and cast those next to an obstacle, next to a wall, or next to two walls, like a L corner, and then use that mechanic to your advantage. So Holy Torch, amazing skill, and it actually can be built around and do a lot of damage. The only bad thing about it is it keeps you in place for a long time. This is the superior version, because the superior version can spawn icons of Sigmar, and I wanted to show you so you can see kind of to have an idea how often you might want to expect those icons of Sigmar to trigger to proc while using the skill. So hopefully it gives you some ideas. I think this is very flexible as a skill, and as I said, the only downside to this skill is that it keeps you in place while you're channeling, although that's true for most of the skills of this class, and it's very good DPS if you build for damage over time. Quap in Irons, another decently animated skill, but kind of underwhelming in regards to damage. For a trap build, you might wanna use this. You can see you can spam like 4, 5, maybe even 6 at the same time on the ground, and you can just spam them very quickly. Obviously it uses the energy, so having icons of Sigmar and maybe Martyr to help you generate energy like this would be pretty great. You can see how quickly it generated my energy. But yeah, you can spam it, and that's great about it. I just wish it did more damage, like almost everything else in this class's arsenal. It's actually pretty fun as an idea to have this much spamminess on traps. Even LS's traps, you can't spam as much by channeling, you have to kind of do it a little bit slower. Next is Herald of Purification, and this is a god skill that is a toggle, and as you toggle the skill on, it starts draining your energy, but it keeps giving you buffs, stacks of a buff. This is the master version, and the more time it stays up while you still have energy, the easier, the faster you not the easier, but the more stacks you get. You won't get the stacks faster, but if you keep the energy up, you're not gonna lose the stacks. So you lose the bonuses as soon as your energy drops to 0. So don't allow that to happen. This is probably gonna be very great to use on a basic attack build of a sort, where you're using one of the first 3 skills I showed you to generate energy, and maybe using that invasion ring where you get 100% extra damage to energy generating skills. I don't think it's still gonna be great even with it. I've tested some builds and it was very disappointing. I tested going all the way in with counter-attack damage with the counter-attack set with the Martyr, and in general it was kind of disappointing, but it's a very good idea. And I think we just need to see a buff in regards to how much damage we get from our counter-attack damage from that set, and then maybe I can see some fun builds opening up on the horizon. Next, Mass Purification. It's pretty great again as an animation, and as damage it's actually pretty nice, although it does have a longer cooldown. And that's why I'm skipping ahead, just to show you, instead of showing you how I'm waiting for the cooldown, I'm just gonna show you me using the skill a few times. You can kind of grasp the range of the skill. So you're gonna see now I'm using it and it didn't hit the miss. So that's kind of the limit of the reach of the range of this skill. So it's more of a close to mid-range AoE around you. And yeah, it can do decent damage. It can be nice, and it can execute enemies under a certain HP threshold. Which is good to keep in mind. For bosses, you can execute bosses and mini bosses at the end of the map, as long as their HP falls down under a certain number. And next is Pyre. Pyre is pretty great, and it keeps the enemies away from you. This is the mastered version, and in the gameplay footage at the beginning and at the end of the video, you could have seen maybe how I'm keeping the enemies away from me. while Pyre is up. And it's pretty nice actually, it's pretty fun to use this to keep the enemies away while you're maybe spamming torches in one place. It gives you a little bit of breathing room. Apart from ranged enemies and ranged attacks from melee enemies, you won't be able to get hit as long as this is up. And stacking cooldown reduction probably would be pretty nice, regardless of what god skill you use. If it's not Herald of Purification, which is a toggle, if it's one on a cooldown, you would want that cooldown reduction. And yeah, that's Pyre. And next, I will be showing you the final god skill, Sacred Sigil, and I will be showing you the mastered version as well. So this is it. It's like a trap that activates on impact. So you drop it, and if there's an enemy on it, it will activate an impact. If there's multiple enemies can get hit. And I'm gonna show you now the range, so you have kind of an idea from how far you can activate. Let's go a bit further now and show you what's gonna happen from this far off. We're gonna try and target the furthest enemy, so you can see how far the trap goes. So using the trap, boom, and you see it's almost there, a few meters too short. So that's still good range. I think this is still a great range. In most cases, you won't be that far off from the enemy trying to lay a trap. So I actually really like this skill, and it does huge damage. It's probably one of the best damage dealing, one of the highest hitting skills of the class. And I really love it, and I use it in some of the builds I've played. So I hope you enjoy using that skill as much as I do. And I think this pretty much sums up all of the skills, be it basic skills, advanced skills, or god skills as actives. And I hope you enjoy the class as much as I do, even though it's underpowered. You can still play it up to Chaos 8 and get some fun out of it that way. To get notified when I upload more content for this game or other games like this one, which would be wooters of all varieties, isometric, third-person ARPGs, wooter shooters, and all sorts of wooters like that, you could subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on my content updates. And optionally, you can even join as a member of the Struck Club on YouTube as a channel member to get access to exclusive perks such as special emotes custom made by me, special badges custom made by me that represents how many months you have been a member for, as well as opt-in of editing tutorials that I can give for Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, as well as shoutouts and things like that. And I would like to use this part of the video to thank all my YouTube members and Twitch subscribers. Thank you for supporting the channel and keeping me going. Thank you also for watching this video, everyone. Keep it cool, Struck Club. Until next time, and good